When did you first realize your family was treating you differently than your siblings? I was 11 when I noticed the pattern. Not some dramatic moment, just a slow realization that crept in like cold water rising. My brother Trenton got a brand new laptop for his birthday. Top of the line, latest model. 2 months later, my sister Ivy got a professional camera setup because she mentioned wanting to try photography once. When my birthday came, I got a $20 gift card to Target and a lecture about being grateful. We're teaching you the value of money, Dad explained. I thought maybe they were right. Maybe I needed to be more responsible. Then came the college fund conversation. I was 16, sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, when I overheard Mom on the phone. Yes, we've set aside $80,000 for Trenton's education. Ivy's fund is at $65,000 now. My stomach dropped. I'd been working part-time since 14, saving every dollar for school. I had maybe $3,000. That night, I asked Mom about my college fund. She looked confused. Honey, we're not made of money. You're smart. You'll figure it out. Get scholarships. Trenton's GPA was 2.8. Mine was 3.9. The inequity became impossible to ignore. New car for Trenton at 17. Ivy's spring break trip to Europe. Meanwhile, I bought my own school supplies and paid for my senior photos. You're so independent, they'd say, like it was a compliment. By 18, I'd learned to stop asking for things. Stop expecting anything. I worked 2 jobs while finishing high school with honors. Got into state university with a partial scholarship. Still needed $15,000 for the first year. I sat my parents down the week before graduation. I need help with tuition, I said. Just this first year. I'll take loans for the rest. Dad barely looked up from his phone. We've given you plenty. Time to stand on your own feet. You gave Trenton $80,000. That was different, Mom said quickly. He needed more support. Something in me finally broke. I pulled out my laptop and showed them the spreadsheet I'd been keeping for 2 years. Every dollar they'd spent on my siblings. Every birthday, every holiday, every random Tuesday. Then my column, practically empty. The total difference was $127,000. Mom's face went pale. You've been tracking this? Someone had to notice, I said. Dad stood up, angry now. This is manipulative. We don't owe you an explanation for how we spend our money. I closed my laptop calmly. You're right. You don't owe me anything, and I don't owe you anything either. I didn't go to my graduation. Instead, I emptied my childhood bedroom, packed everything into my car, and drove 6 hours to Aunt Reese's house. She'd always been the family outsider, the one who'd stopped coming to holidays years ago. When I showed her my spreadsheet, she didn't look surprised. They did the same thing to me, she said quietly. I was the responsible one, the one who didn't need help. Meanwhile, your dad and his golden child brother got everything. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? She let me stay rent-free while I worked and attended community college. 2 years later, I transferred to state with enough saved to cover tuition. I cut contact with my parents completely. Last week, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was Mom. Your father had a stroke. We need you to come home. There are things we need to discuss about his will. My hands went numb. His will? There's something you need to know about why we treated you differently. Something we should have told you years ago. I hung up without responding. Aunt Reese found me on her porch an hour later, still holding my phone. They called, I said. She sat down beside me. What did they want? Dad had a stroke. Mom says there's something about his will. Something they should have told me years ago. Aunt Reese's expression shifted. Something like recognition. Maybe fear. What? I asked. She was quiet for a long time. You need to hear it from them. But whatever they tell you, remember that biology doesn't define family. Actions do. My stomach twisted. What are you saying? Go, she said. Listen to what they have to say. Then come back and we'll talk. I drove through the night, arriving at my childhood home just as the sun was rising. The house looked smaller than I remembered. More ordinary. Like all the power it had held over me had been an illusion. Mom answered on the first knock as if she'd been waiting by the door. She looked older, thinner. Her hair had gone completely gray. You came, she said. Where is he? Upstairs, in the bedroom. He can't walk yet. The house smelled the same. Coffee and vanilla candles. Photos of Trenton and Ivy lined the hallway. My face appeared in exactly 3 pictures, all from before age 12. Dad was propped up in bed, his left side visibly weaker. When he saw me, something crumbled in his expression. You look good, he said, his words slightly slurred. I didn't sit down. Mom said you need to tell me something about why you treated me differently. Mom stood in the doorway, wringing her hands. Maybe we should all sit down. I'll stand. Dad shifted in the bed. Your mother and I weren't going to tell you. We thought it would be easier for everyone if you never knew. Knew what? Mom's voice was barely a whisper. You're not your father's biological daughter. The room tilted. When I was 23, I had an affair. Mom continued. Your father and I were separated. It was brief. When I found out I was pregnant, we'd already reconciled. He agreed to raise you as his own. I couldn't breathe. So the whole time you were punishing me for something that wasn't my fault? We weren't punishing you, Dad said quickly. I tried to love you the same. I really did. But every time I looked at you, I saw him. I saw my failure as a husband. So you what? Decided I didn't deserve a college fund? Didn't deserve birthday presents? Didn't deserve to be treated like a daughter? We thought we were being fair, Mom said. We thought if we pushed you to be independent, you'd be stronger. You weren't pushing me to be independent. You were pushing me away. Dad's good hand clutched the blanket. The stroke made me realize I might not have much time. I need to make things right. The will splits everything 3 ways, equal shares. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Now you want to be fair? After 25 years of making me feel like I was less than? Like I didn't belong? We know we made mistakes, Mom said. Mistakes? My voice rose. You stole my childhood. You made me question my worth every single day. And now you want me to forgive you because Dad had a stroke and suddenly feels guilty? Please. Dad said. We're trying. You're 25 years too late. I turned to leave, but Mom grabbed my arm. Wait, there's more. Your biological father. He's been trying to contact you. I froze. What? He found out about you 3 years ago. He's been writing letters. We kept them from you. You kept them from me? Mom disappeared into the hallway and returned with a shoebox. Inside were dozens of letters, all addressed to me, all unopened. We thought we were protecting you, she said. I grabbed the box and walked out. I made it to my car before the tears came. Not sad tears, furious ones. They'd stolen even more than I'd realized. Not just money and opportunities, but the possibility of knowing where I really came from. I drove to a park and sat in my car, staring at the shoebox. It took me 20 minutes to work up the courage to open the first letter. The handwriting was neat, careful. Dear daughter, I know you don't know me. I didn't know you existed until recently. Your mother and I had a brief relationship many years ago. When I found out about you, I tried to reach out. I don't want to disrupt your life. I just want you to know that if you ever want to meet me, I'm here. My name is Preston. I'm a high school art teacher in Oregon. I never married, never had other children. When I found out about you, I realized why. I'd been waiting for you without knowing it. I don't know what your parents have told you. I don't know if they'll even give you these letters, but I'll keep writing, just in case. If you never respond, I understand. But if you do, I'll be here. Preston. I opened another letter, then another. He'd written every month for 3 years, told me about his life, his students, his garden. He sent photos. In one, he was standing in front of a classroom, smiling at the camera. I had his nose, his eyes, his hands. In his most recent letter, dated 2 weeks ago, he'd written, I'm not sure you'll ever read these, but I keep writing because the alternative is giving up on you, and I can't do that. Not when I've already lost so many years. I have a savings account I started when I found out about you. It has $47,000 in it. College fund, emergency fund, whatever you need. It's yours. No strings, no conditions. I don't expect you to call me Dad. I haven't earned that, but I'd like the chance to know you, to be part of your life, if you'll let me. I called Aunt Reese from the park. You knew, I said when she answered. I suspected. Your mom told me once years ago, when she was drunk, made me promise not to say anything. They kept his letters from me. I figured they might. Your dad was never good at letting go of his pride. What do I do? What do you want to do? I looked at the letters spread across my passenger seat. I want to know who I am, where I came from. Then you know what to do. I dialed the number Preston had included in every letter. He answered on the second ring. Hello? My voice shook. This is your daughter. There was a long pause. Then I heard him take a shaky breath. You got my letters. All of them. Today. They kept them from me. Are you okay? It was such a simple question, but the way he asked it, with genuine concern for someone he'd never met, broke something loose in my chest. I don't know, I admitted. That's okay. You don't have to know. Can I ask where you are? In a park, in Missouri, about 2 hours from where I live. That's where your mother lives, right? Did you just find out? About me? This morning. They told me because my dad had a stroke. Because they're worried about the will. Preston made a disgusted sound. They told you because of inheritance? Jesus, I'm sorry. You deserved better than that. Hearing someone validate it, someone who had no reason to take my side, made my throat tight. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now, I said. You don't have to do anything. This is your choice. Your timeline. I've waited 25 years. I can wait longer. I'm not sure I can. Then don't. What do you need? I need to know if any of this is real. If you're real. Or if this is just another version of being used. I can't prove myself over the phone, but I can tell you this. I'm not interested in disrupting your life. I'm not trying to replace anyone. I just want the chance to know the person you've become. And from what I can gather from your mother's vague answers over the years, you're someone worth knowing. I wiped my eyes. How did you find out about me? Your mother's sister reached out to me, told me I had a daughter, that you were struggling with college costs and your parents weren't helping. She thought you deserved to know you had options. Aunt Reese. Is that her name? She never told me. Just said she couldn't watch you suffer while knowing the truth. When was this? 3 years ago. Right after you moved in with her, I think. I closed my eyes. Aunt Reese had been working behind the scenes the whole time, trying to give me the tools to build a different life. I'd like to meet you, I said. If that's still something you want, I'd like that very much. When? I need some time to process this, to figure out what I want to say. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. We exchanged email addresses and phone numbers. Before we hung up, he said, one more thing. I know this is overwhelming, but I want you to know that finding out about you was the best thing that's happened in my life. Whatever happens next, that won't change. I sat in my car until the sun was high in the sky. Then I drove to my parents' house one more time. Mom was in the kitchen. When she saw me, she stood up quickly. Did you read the letters? All of them. 3 years worth. We were trying to protect you. From what? From having someone who actually wanted me? From being hurt. From being disappointed. We didn't know if he was sincere. You didn't get to make that choice for me. Dad had made his way downstairs, leaning heavily on a cane. What do you want from us? I want you to sign legal documents relinquishing any parental rights. I want you to remove me from the will. I want you to never contact me again. You can't be serious, Mom said. I talked to Preston. He told me Aunt Reese contacted him 3 years ago. That means you've known he was trying to reach me for 3 years and kept it from me anyway. Even after you saw how hard I was struggling. We thought we were doing the right thing, Dad insisted. You thought you were protecting yourselves, your pride, your comfortable lie, but you never thought about protecting me. I pulled out a folder I'd prepared during my drive. Inside were copies of my spreadsheet, printed and highlighted. Every inequity, every deliberate choice to treat me as less than. This is going to my siblings. They deserve to know who you really are. Mom's face went white. You can't. Watch me. And one more thing, that money you're trying to give me in the will, donate it to foster care organizations, kids who actually need it, kids whose parents failed them. I left them standing in the kitchen. As I drove away, I called Trenton. He answered with his usual casual tone. Hey, stranger. Long time. I need to tell you something. Something about Mom and Dad. By the time I finished explaining everything, he was quiet. Then, I always knew something was off. The way they treated you. I thought maybe I was imagining it. You weren't. I'm sorry. I should have said something, done something. You were a kid. It wasn't your job to fix it. What are you going to do now? Move forward. Without them. Do you want me to talk to them? I want you to decide for yourself what kind of relationship you want with parents who are capable of treating a child that way. But whatever you decide, don't let them make me the villain in this story. I called Ivy next. Her reaction was different. Defensive. They provided for you. You had food, shelter, education. The bare minimum isn't something to be grateful for when your siblings got so much more. Maybe you're just being sensitive. Read the spreadsheet I'm sending you. Look at the numbers. Then tell me I'm being sensitive. She hung up on me. I didn't expect her to understand. Ivy had spent her whole life as the baby, the princess. Questioning our parents would mean questioning her own worth. When I got back to Aunt Reese's house, she was waiting on the porch with tea. How'd it go? About as well as expected. I found out you contacted Preston 3 years ago. She didn't look surprised that I knew. I couldn't stand watching you break yourself trying to earn love from people who'd already decided you didn't deserve it. You needed to know you had other options. Why didn't you tell me? Because you needed to come to it yourself. If I'd told you, you would have questioned my motives. Wondered if I was trying to turn you against your parents. This way, you got to see the truth on your own timeline. I sat down next to her. I don't know how to feel about any of this. You don't have to know yet. Feelings aren't linear. You can be angry and relieved and sad and hopeful all at once. What do I do about Preston? What do you want to do? I want to meet him, but I'm terrified. Of what? Of getting my hopes up. Of finding out he's just another person who'll let me down. Aunt Reese took my hand. That's a risk you take with anyone. But from what I learned about him before I contacted him, he's a good man. Steady. Kind. The kind of person who shows up. How do you know? I did my research. Talked to his colleagues, his neighbors. Everyone had the same thing to say. He's reliable. Shows up for his students. Volunteers at community centers. The kind of man who wanted kids but never met the right person. And if it doesn't work out, then you'll be exactly where you are now. No worse off. But at least you'll know you tried. I emailed Preston that night. Asked if we could meet the following weekend. He responded within an hour. I'll fly out Friday. Let me know where and when. I'm bringing photos. And a lot of questions. But only if you're comfortable answering them. The week passed in a blur. I worked my shifts at the hospital, went to my classes, tried to act normal, but my mind was spinning, creating scenarios, imagining what it would be like to meet the man who was technically my father but felt like a stranger. Friday arrived faster than I expected. Preston's flight landed at 2 p.m. We'd agreed to meet at a coffee shop near Aunt Reese's house. Neutral territory. I got there 30 minutes early and ordered a coffee I didn't drink. Watched the door, checked my phone obsessively. At 2:45, he walked in. I recognized him immediately from his photos. Tall, thin, graying hair. He wore jeans and a button-down shirt, carried a worn leather bag. His eyes scanned the room and landed on me. He didn't move for a moment. Just stood there, taking me in. Then he walked over slowly, like he was afraid I might bolt. Hi, he said. Hi. We stood there awkwardly. Then he opened his arms. Is it okay if I hug you? I nodded. The hug was brief, but solid. He smelled like coffee and old books. We sat down across from each other. He pulled out a photo album from his bag. I thought you might want to see these. Pictures of my family, your grandparents. They passed away a few years ago, but they would have loved you. I looked through the album. His parents looked kind. Photos of birthdays, holidays, normal family moments. Then photos of Preston through the years. Teaching, painting, traveling. This is who I am, he said. I'm not exciting. I'm not rich. I'm just a guy who teaches art and loves his students and wishes he'd known about you sooner. Why didn't you try to find me before Aunt Reese contacted you? I didn't know you existed. Your mother and I were together for about 3 months. When we broke up, she told me she was getting back together with her husband. I assumed that was the end of it. I never knew she was pregnant. Did you love her? He considered this. I cared about her. But we both knew it wasn't going to last. She was trying to figure out her marriage. I was trying to figure out my life. We were wrong for each other, but the timing felt right at the moment. Do you regret it? How could I? It gave me you. I felt my throat tighten. You don't even know me. I know you're resilient. I know you put yourself through college. I know you worked multiple jobs while maintaining a 3.9 GPA. I know you stood up to your parents when they tried to treat you as less than. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. How do you know all that? Your aunt told me some. The rest I pieced together from your mother's reluctant answers. She was angry that I was asking questions. Told me I had no right to information about your life. But I kept asking anyway. What do you want from me? Nothing. I don't need you to call me Dad. I don't need you to love me. I just want the chance to know you. To be part of your life in whatever capacity you're comfortable with. What if I'm not good at this? What if I don't know how to have a father? Then we'll figure it out together. There's no rule book, no timeline. We'll make it up as we go. We talked for 3 hours. He told me about his students, his art, his life in Oregon. I told him about nursing school, my plans, my dreams. It felt surprisingly easy. Like talking to someone who'd always been there, just waiting for me to find them. Before he left, he handed me an envelope. This is information for the bank account I mentioned. It's in your name, has been for 3 years. Do whatever you want with it. College, emergency fund, down payment on a house. It's yours. I can't accept this. It's not charity. It's child support I should have been paying all along. If I'd known about you, I would have been there from day one. Let me make up for lost time. I don't need you to make up for anything. Maybe not, but I need to. Please. I took the envelope. Over the next 6 months, Preston and I talked every week. Video calls mostly. He told me stories about his students. I told him about my patients. Slowly, carefully, we built something that felt like family. He flew out twice more. Once for my graduation from community college. He sat in the audience next to Aunt Reese, beaming like he'd been there for every milestone. The second time was for my birthday. He brought a painting he'd made. It was a landscape of Oregon at sunset. In case you ever want to visit, he said. I framed it and hung it in my apartment. Meanwhile, things with my siblings evolved differently. Trenton reached out regularly, apologizing, trying to understand. He'd started his own therapy to process how our family dynamics had affected him. I never questioned why they treated you differently, he admitted during one of our calls. I just accepted the benefits. I'm sorry for that. You were a kid. You didn't create the situation, but I benefited from it. That makes me complicit. What matters is what you do now. He started paying me back. Not the full $127,000, but monthly installments from his salary. I tried to refuse, but he insisted. Let me do this. Let me be the kind of brother you deserved all along. Ivy, on the other hand, doubled down. She sent angry emails accusing me of tearing the family apart, of being vindictive, of exaggerating the situation for attention. I stopped responding after the third email. She'll come around or she won't, Aunt Reese said. Either way, it's not your responsibility to manage her feelings. 9 months after Dad's stroke, Mom called. He's dying, she said. Complications from the stroke. He has maybe a week. I felt nothing. No sadness, no anger, just emptiness. Are you asking me to come? I'm telling you this is your last chance. If you have anything you want to say to him, now's the time. I thought about it for 2 days. Preston didn't push me either way. This is your choice, he said. Whatever you decide, I support you. In the end, I went. Not for Dad, for me. Because I needed to see him one last time to confirm what I already knew. He was just a man. Flawed, selfish, incapable of the love I'd needed. And that was his failure, not mine. He was in a hospital bed, unconscious. Mom and Ivy sat beside him. Trenton was there too, looking exhausted. I'm glad you came, Mom said. I came to say goodbye. Not to forgive. Can't you give him peace before he goes? He didn't give me peace for 25 years. Why do I owe him peace now? Ivy stood up, angry. You're so selfish. Everything has to be about you. No, I said calmly. For once, this is about me, my healing, my choice. You don't get to guilt me into performing forgiveness I don't feel. I sat beside Dad's bed, looked at his unconscious face. I don't forgive you, I said quietly. I don't hate you either. You're just someone who couldn't be what I needed. I'm sorry for you, because you missed out on knowing someone pretty amazing, but I'm not sorry for me anymore. I found my own family, people who showed up, who chose me. So you can go knowing that I'll be fine, better than fine. I'll be exactly who I was always meant to be, no thanks to you. He died 2 days later. The funeral was small. I sat in the back with Aunt Reese and Trenton. Preston had offered to come, but I told him I didn't need him there. This was old business. He was my future. During the reception, Mom approached me. I hope you're happy now. You got what you wanted. You turned your siblings against us. Made your father die feeling like a failure. I didn't make him anything. He was a failure as a father. That was his choice. We did our best. No, you did the minimum. And even that was grudging. So what now? You just cut us out forever? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe eventually I'll be able to have a relationship with you that doesn't make me feel like I'm begging for scraps. But that's going to take years. And it requires you to actually acknowledge what you did, not just say you tried your best. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I loved you. In my own way. Love isn't just a feeling. It's action. It's showing up. It's making sacrifices. You loved me the way you loved a houseplant. As long as I didn't require too much attention. I left before she could respond. 3 months later, I got a letter from the estate attorney. Despite what I told them, Dad had left me an equal share in the will, $147,000. I stared at the check for a long time. It was more than the difference in my spreadsheet, more than he'd spent on my siblings combined. Trenton called when he got his copy of the will. He was trying to make it right, he said. He should have made it right while he was alive, when it would have actually mattered. What are you going to do with it? I thought about it for a week. Then I split it 3 ways. $49,000 to a scholarship fund for foster kids aging out of the system, kids who, like me, had to figure out how to build lives without family support. $49,000 to Aunt Reese, who'd given me more in 5 years than my parents had in 25. $49,000 to Preston, who tried to refuse it until I explained. You've been saving for me for 3 years. This is me giving back. Use it for your retirement, your art, whatever you want. You earned it by being the father I needed. A year after Dad's death, Preston invited me to Oregon for Thanksgiving. I know it's a lot, he said, meeting everyone, but my sister and her family want to meet you. No pressure. But they've been asking. I flew out the week before Thanksgiving. Preston picked me up from the airport, and for the first time, I felt like I was going home. His house was small but filled with art. Student paintings on the walls, half-finished canvases in his studio, sculptures on every surface. This is my life, he said, gesturing around, chaos and color. If it's too much, I can tone it down. It's perfect. Thanksgiving was overwhelming in the best way. Preston's sister, Diana, welcomed me with a hug that lasted too long. Her kids, my cousins, treated me like I'd always been part of the family. We cooked together, told stories, laughed until my stomach hurt. At dinner, Preston stood to make a toast. 25 years ago, I didn't know I had a daughter. For 22 of those years, I went through life thinking I'd never be a father. Then 3 years ago, I got a phone call that changed everything. And this year, I get to have Thanksgiving with the person I'd been missing without knowing it. So thank you for giving me a chance, for being exactly who you are, for being here. Everyone raised their glasses. I felt tears on my cheeks. After dinner, Preston and I walked through his neighborhood. The air was cold and sharp, smelling like wood smoke. I want to show you something, he said. We stopped in front of a small house 3 blocks from his. A for sale sign stood in the front yard. I know you're finishing nursing school in Missouri, he said. But when you graduate, if you want to, there are hospitals here. Good ones. And this house just went on the market. It's small, but it has a studio space. Room for you to find whatever makes you happy. Are you asking me to move here? I'm giving you an option, no pressure. But I'd like you to be close. I'd like to be part of your daily life, not just weekly phone calls. I looked at the house. Imagined what it would be like to start over here. Away from Missouri, from my childhood, from all the weight of being the unwanted daughter. Can I think about it? Take all the time you need. I spent the rest of my visit exploring Oregon. Preston showed me the school where he taught, introduced me to his colleagues and friends. Everyone welcomed me warmly, like I'd been part of Preston's life all along. On my last night, we sat in his studio while he painted. Can I ask you something? I said. Anything. Do you ever resent me? For existing? For complicating your life? He set down his brush and turned to face me fully. You didn't complicate my life. You completed it. Before I found out about you, I was going through the motions. Teaching my classes, making my art. But something felt hollow. Then I got that call from your aunt. And suddenly everything made sense. The restlessness I'd felt, the feeling that something was missing. It was you. It had always been you. But you lost 22 years. We both did. But we found each other eventually. That's what matters. When I flew back to Missouri, I couldn't stop thinking about the house, about what it would mean to build a life in Oregon, near Preston, near family that actually wanted me. I graduated from nursing school 3 months later. Preston flew out for the ceremony, along with Aunt Reese in Trenton. It was small, but perfect. After graduation, I had job offers in Missouri. Good ones. But I kept thinking about Oregon. I called Preston a week later. Is that house still for sale? It is. I want it. Are you sure? I'm sure. I'm ready to start fresh. Build something new. Preston helped me with the down payment, though I insisted on paying him back. Aunt Reese helped me move, drove across the country with me in a loaded truck. You're doing the right thing, she said as we crossed into Oregon. Choosing the family that chooses you back. My first day in the new house, Preston brought over dinner and a painting. Housewarming gift, he said. It was a portrait. Of me. But not how I looked in real life. In the painting, I was surrounded by light, standing strong, looking forward. This is how I see you, he said. How I've always seen you, even before I met you. I hung it in my living room, in the place of honor. Life in Oregon unfolded slowly. I started working at the local hospital in the ER. Preston and I had dinner twice a week. His sister's family included me in everything. Holidays, birthdays, random Sunday barbecues. I was building something I'd never had before. A life where I didn't have to prove my worth. Where I was wanted simply because I existed. 6 months after moving, I got an email from Ivy. I'm sorry. I've been in therapy. My therapist helped me see how I was complicit in mom and dad's treatment of you. How I benefited from their favoritism and never questioned it. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I wanted you to know I finally understand. I didn't respond immediately. Spent a week thinking about what I wanted to say. Finally, I wrote back, thank you for acknowledging it. I'm not ready for a relationship yet. Maybe someday. But I appreciate you doing the work. She respected that. Didn't push. Just sent occasional updates about her life, never asking for anything back. Mom, on the other hand, continued to send guilt-laden messages about how I'd abandoned the family, how I'd chosen a stranger over the people who raised me. Preston saw one of her messages when my phone buzzed during dinner. You okay? He asked. Yeah. Just mom being mom. You don't have to read those. You don't owe her access to you. I know, sometimes I just feel guilty. For what? For choosing people who treat you well? For being relieved that I don't have to deal with her anymore? Relief isn't something to feel guilty about. It's your nervous system finally relaxing because you're safe. I blocked mom's number after that. Gave myself permission to move forward without the weight of her expectations. A year after moving to Oregon, Preston and I were having dinner when he pulled out an envelope. I wasn't sure if I should show you this, he said, but I think you deserve to see it. Inside was a letter from my mother to Preston, dated 6 months after I'd moved. Preston, I know you have no reason to listen to me, but I'm writing because I need you to understand what you took from me. I raised that girl for 25 years. I fed her, clothed her, kept a roof over her head, and you swoop in at the end and take all the credit? Take all her love? It's not fair. You didn't change her diapers at 3 a.m., didn't sit through parent-teacher conferences, didn't deal with teenage hormones. I did all the hard work and you get all the reward. She treats me like I'm nothing, like I don't matter, and it's your fault. You poisoned her against me. I hope you're happy. You got what you wanted. You stole my daughter. I read it twice, then handed it back to Preston. Are you okay? He asked. I'm furious, but also relieved, because this proves I wasn't crazy. She really does see me as property, as something she owned that you stole. What do you want to do with this? Nothing. Let her live in her delusion. I'm done trying to make her see reason. Preston tore up the letter. You're not property. You're not something to be owned or stolen. You're a person who made a choice, and I'm grateful you chose me. 2 years after moving to Oregon, I met someone, another nurse named Jordan who worked night shifts in the ER. We bonded over shared trauma stories and dark humor. On our 3rd date, I told him about my family situation. All of it. The favoritism, the revelation about Preston, the move to Oregon. That's a lot, he said. Yeah, if it's too much, I understand. It's not too much. It's your story. And it makes sense why you are the way you are. What way am I? Careful, guarded, like you're always waiting for people to let you down. Is that a bad thing? It's understandable, but I hope eventually you'll let me prove I'm not going anywhere. He did prove it. Showed up consistently, called when he said he would, made plans, and kept them. Slowly, carefully, I let my guard down. When I introduced him to Preston 6 months later, Preston pulled me aside. He's good for you, I can tell. How? You smile differently, like you're not waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm still waiting, just quieter now. That's progress. Preston and Jordan became friends. They'd talk about art and philosophy while I cooked. It felt surreal, having a partner who got along with my father, having a father who cared about my happiness. 3 years after moving to Oregon, Preston was diagnosed with cancer, prostate. Treatable, the doctors said, but serious. I took family leave from work to help with his treatment, drove him to appointments, sat with him during chemo, held his hand when he was too weak to eat. You don't have to do this, he said during one particularly rough night. Yes, I do. Why? Because this is what family does. Real family. The kind that shows up. I'm sorry you have to see me like this. I'm not. You've been there for every moment of my life since we met. Let me be here for this. His sister Diana flew in to help. We took shifts sitting with Preston, making sure he was never alone. One night, when he was feeling better, we sat in his studio. I need to tell you something, he said. Okay. If something happens to me, everything is yours. The house, the savings, all of it. I've already updated my will. Nothing's going to happen to you. We don't know that. And I need you to know that you're taken care of, that I thought about your future. You've already given me so much. I've given you what you always deserved, what you should have had from the beginning. He beat the cancer. 6 months of treatment, but he beat it. At his final oncology appointment, the doctor said, "You're one lucky man." I know, Preston said, looking at me. In more ways than one. 5 years after moving to Oregon, Jordan proposed. We were hiking in the mountains when he dropped to one knee. I want to build a life with you. I want to be the person who shows up, who stays. Will you marry me? I said yes. We got married in Preston's backyard. Small ceremony. Just Preston, Diana, and her family, Aunt Reese, Trenton, Jordan's family, and a few close friends. Preston walked me down the aisle. When he handed me off to Jordan, he whispered, "I'm so proud of you, of everything you've become." I cried through the entire ceremony. Aunt Reese gave a toast at the reception. When this girl showed up at my house 7 years ago, she was broken, convinced she wasn't worthy of love. But I knew better. I knew she was strong, resilient. And I knew that one day she'd find people who saw her the way I did. Today, watching her marry someone who loves her exactly as she is, standing beside the father she found, and the brother who learned to be better, I'm reminded that family isn't always the people you're born to. Sometimes it's the people you find, the people who choose you. And lucky for all of us, she chose us back. 6 years after moving to Oregon, I gave birth to a daughter. We named her Reese after my aunt. Preston held her in the hospital, tears streaming down his face. I never thought I'd be a grandfather, he said. Thank you for giving me this. Thank you for showing me what a real parent looks like, so I could become one myself. Watching Preston with my daughter, I felt something shift. All the years of wondering what was wrong with me, why I wasn't enough for my parents, suddenly made sense. It wasn't about me. It had never been about me. Some people just aren't capable of love, of putting someone else first, of doing the hard work that parenthood requires. And some people are. Preston was. He showed up for every milestone. First words, first steps, first day of school. He taught Reese to paint, to ask questions, to believe in herself. When she was 4, she asked me why she had 2 grandpas in pictures but only met one. I knelt down to her level. Some people aren't ready to be good grandparents, but the one you have loves you more than anything in the world. Grandpa Preston? Yes, he's the best. He really is. 8 years after moving to Oregon, I got a call from Trenton. Mom's sick. Dementia. It's progressing fast. I'm sorry. She's asking for you. I don't know if I can. I'm not saying you should. I'm just telling you in case you want to say goodbye. I thought about it for a week. Talked to Jordan, to Preston, to my therapist. In the end, I went. Not for her, for closure. She was in a memory care facility. Small room, hospital bed, photos of Ivy and Trenton on the walls. No photos of me. She didn't recognize me at first. Then her eyes focused. You came, she said. I did. I'm sorry, I know I wasn't a good mother to you. It was the first time she'd ever said it plainly. Why? I asked. Why couldn't you love me? I tried. But every time I looked at you, I saw my mistake, my infidelity, my failure. And I punished you for it because I couldn't punish myself. I was a child. I know. I'm sorry. I sat with her for an hour. She drifted in and out of lucidity, talked about the past, mixed up timelines, called me by other names. When I left, I felt lighter. Not because she'd apologized, but because I realized I didn't need her apology anymore. I'd already built a life beyond her reach. 10 years after moving to Oregon, Preston retired from teaching. We threw him a party. His students from across 3 decades came. They told stories about how he'd changed their lives, believed in them when no one else did. At the end of the night, Preston pulled me aside. I've been thinking about what to do with my time, now that I'm not teaching. Lots of painting? Some. But also I want to volunteer, work with foster kids, teach art to kids who need someone to believe in them. That's perfect. I was thinking maybe you'd want to help. You understand what it's like to need someone who sees you. We started a program together. Art therapy for foster kids aging out of the system. Preston taught painting. I taught life skills. Jordan helped with funding through the hospital foundation. It grew faster than we expected. Within 2 years, we had 40 kids in the program, kids who reminded me of myself. Angry, scared, convinced they weren't worth investing in. We proved them wrong. One girl, 17, about to age out, asked me during a session, "How did you do it? How did you make it?" I found one person who believed in me, then another, until I had enough people in my corner that the voices telling me I wasn't enough got quieter. What if nobody believes in me? I believe in you. Preston believes in you. That's 2 people. That's a start. She graduated from our program and got into college with a full scholarship. Sent us a card that said, "You saved my life. I hope you know that." 12 years after moving to Oregon, Ivy reached out. "I'd like to visit, if that's okay. I want to meet my niece. I want to try to be better." I talked to Preston about it. "What do you want?" he asked. "I want to believe people can change, but I'm scared of getting hurt again." Then set boundaries. Let her visit, but make it clear that this is on your terms. And if she violates those terms, she's out. Ivy came for a weekend. She was quieter than I remembered, more thoughtful. She met Reese and cried. "She looks like you," Ivy said, "but she has your confidence, the way you hold yourself now." "What do you mean? You're different, stronger. I used to think you were just angry, but now I see you were just fighting to exist in a space that tried to erase you." We talked about the past, about how she'd benefited from the same system that hurt me, about her own therapy, her reckoning with her privilege. "I can't undo what happened," she said, "but I want to be better, if you'll let me. I need time and consistency, not just this visit, but showing up, being present. I can do that." She did. Called once a month, sent birthday presents, flew out once a year. Slowly, carefully, we rebuilt something that resembled a sibling relationship. It wasn't what it could have been if we'd grown up differently, but it was something. 15 years after moving to Oregon, Preston turned 67. We threw him a party at his house. Reese, now 9, had painted him a portrait. It hung in the place of honor. "You taught me to see beauty," she told him, "even in hard things." Preston hugged her and cried. That night, after everyone left, we sat on his porch. "I'm proud of you," he said. "You've said that. I know, but I want to make sure you hear it. Really hear it. You took a life that was designed to break you and turned it into something beautiful. You're an incredible mother, an incredible wife, an incredible nurse, and you're my daughter. That's my greatest accomplishment. Not my art, not my teaching. You saved me." "No, you saved yourself. I just gave you the space to do it. What would have happened if Aunt Reese hadn't contacted you? I don't know, but I'm grateful I don't have to find out." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. "Preston? Yeah? Thank you for choosing me, for showing up, for being everything I needed. Thank you for letting me, for giving me a chance when you had every reason not to." 20 years after first learning about Preston, I'm 45. Reese is 14, applying to high schools. Trenton's kids call me aunt. Ivy and I text regularly, though we'll never be as close as sisters who grew up together. Preston is 72, still painting, still volunteering, still showing up. My mother died 3 years ago. I went to the funeral but didn't cry. Felt only a distant sadness for the relationship we could have had if she'd been capable. Aunt Reese is 71, living in a small house Preston and I bought for her down the street. She spends her days gardening and spoiling her great niece. Jordan and I just celebrated our 15th anniversary. He still makes me laugh, still shows up. Last week, Reese asked me about my childhood. "Was it hard?" she asked. "Yes." "Because of your first parents?" "Because they couldn't see me for who I was. They could only see who they wanted me to be." "That's sad." "It was. But it taught me something important." "What?" "That family is something you build, not something you're given, and that the people who choose to love you are more important than the people who are supposed to." She thought about this. "So Grandpa Preston chose you?" "We chose each other." "And you chose Dad?" "Every day." "And you chose me?" "Before I even met you." She smiled. "That's nice. Knowing I was chosen. Everyone should be chosen, should know they're wanted. That's the best gift you can give someone." That night, Preston came over for dinner. Reese showed him her latest painting. "This is brilliant," he said. "You're getting better than me. You have to say that. You're my grandpa. I don't have to say anything, but I say it because it's true." After dinner, Preston and I sat on my porch, watching the sunset. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if things had been different?" I asked. "If they'd told you about me from the beginning?" "All the time. But then I remember that everything that happened made you who you are. And who you are is pretty amazing, even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts. They taught you empathy, resilience, how to recognize real love when you find it. I just wish it hadn't hurt so much." "I know, me too. But we found each other eventually. That's what matters." We sat in silence, the way we often did, comfortable, easy, the silence of 2 people who'd earned each other. "Preston? Yeah? I need you to know something. You're not just my biological father. You're my real father. The one who counted. The one who showed me what love looks like." He took my hand. "And you're not just my daughter. You're proof that it's never too late. That you can find your people even when you think it's impossible." The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in impossible colors. I thought about the girl I was at 18, broken, convinced she was unlovable, certain she'd spend her life trying to earn something that would never come. And I thought about who I'd become: a wife, a mother, a daughter to the father I'd found, a nurse who saved lives, a volunteer who gave kids the belief they deserved. The distance between those 2 versions of myself felt infinite, but also somehow it felt inevitable, like every hard thing had been leading me here, to this porch, with this man, in this life I'd built from scratch. "You okay?" Preston asked. "Yeah," I said. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And for the first time in my life, I meant it."